In the early 2000s, Toyota created a new brand, launched with the sole purpose of capturing the youth market in the United States. That brand was called Scion, and at its peak, it was one of the fastest growing car brands in America, before getting killed off just 13 years later, becoming one of the shortest lived brands in automotive history. Today we'll be exploring the rise and fall of the Scion brand, why it was created, and the pitfalls that ultimately led to its demise. To understand why Scion ultimately failed, we need to go back to the late 90s and understand Toyota's reputation at the time. By the late 90s and early 2000s, Toyota had gained the reputation for making some of the most reliable cars available. The Camry and the Corolla were best sellers, with the Camry consistently getting the top spot as the #1 sold car in America every single year between 1997 and 2003. Despite the sales numbers though, Toyota's brand image had become one that was safe, sensible, and boring. This was a strength for older buyers who valued this dependability, but it created a problem. Younger buyers didn't aspire to own a Toyota. During the early 2000s, the market was shifting. Millennials were starting to enter the car market, and automakers saw them as the next big generation of car buyers. These young buyers didn't want to drive Camrys and Corolla, rather they wanted cars that felt more expressive and customizable. At the time, Honda was fueling tuner culture with the extremely customizable Civic and Integra. Mazda was pushing the sporty zoom messaging with cars like the RX-8 and the Miata, and Nissan had just revived the Z. So Toyota realized it was risking losing the younger audience to brands that were cooler and more in touch with the youth culture. So Toyota decided to create an entirely new sub-brand to target just this group, a brand free from the reliable but boring brand image. So in March of 2022, Toyota unveiled Scion at the New York Auto Show. The first models hit the dealerships the following year in California. The key market that Toyota specifically chose due to its vibrant youth car culture, younger demographics, and openness to experimental models. They launched with two cars, the Scion XA hatchback and the boxy JDM-inspired XB. They were purposely designed to be radically different from Toyota's mainstream lineup, but honestly, I'm not sure they really pulled it off. The brand ultimately positioned itself as affordable, customizable, and hip, and at launch, Scion actually had the youngest average buyer age in the entire US auto industry, around 30 years old, nearly a decade younger than the age of the average Toyota customer. The prices were lower than Toyota, but appeal came from the upsells that buyers could add on, such as accessories and dealer-installed modifications. This was an attempt to make Scion feel less like a traditional car brand and something more like the ideal choice for the millennial hip lifestyle. The idea was that Scion could serve as a gateway brand to attract younger buyers early on, gain their loyalty, and eventually, over the years, graduate them into a Toyota or a Lexus later in life. The new lineup ended up hitting at the right cultural moment, and the new brand actually ended up doing surprisingly well. In 2004, they introduced the Scion TC, an affordable, sporty coupe that appealed to college students and first-time buyers looking for something reliable and fun. Within just a couple years of its launch, Scion sales passed 150,000 units annually, with the TC accounting for nearly half of all sales between 2005 and 2007. And when it came to marketing, instead of traditional car ads, the brand focused on grassroots marketing and youth culture. They sponsored concerts, art shows, and video games, all activities meant to appeal to the younger target demographic. This trendy marketing really helped build credibility among young buyers who tended to distrust more polished corporate brands. But the thing about trends is they don't last forever, and Scion was about to hit a wall. And that wall came in 2008 during the financial crisis. The brand's core audience, young buyers, were hit the hardest by the recession, pulling back spending, and the brand saw sales dip. The TC, which was once Scion's bestseller, saw sales drop from nearly 80,000 per year in 2006 to under 18,000 in 2009. And at the same time, rivals were starting to step up their game. Both Hyundai and Kia started to shed their bargain bin image and started rolling out updated, affordable cars like the Hyundai Elantra, Genesis Coupe, and Kia Soul. This competition offered the same affordability Scion promised, but with new styling, longer warranties, and stronger marketing. And it didn't help that Scion's old lineup just wasn't aging well. The newly redesigned XB lost its original boxy charm and was replaced with a bigger, heavier, conventional design. And the already pretty boring and bland XA was replaced with the even less interesting XD. But the competition and the stale lineup were just part of the issue. The biggest issue was the brand's overlap with Toyota. The thing is, Scion's lineup was in direct competition with Toyota's own compact cars. Prospective buyers ended up realizing they could get similar vehicles, often with better resale value and brand recognition, by just buying a Toyota Corolla, Matrix, or a Yaris. Scion was supposed to be different, but instead it began to feel redundant and it caused confusion. Toyota knew that the brand was in trouble, so they had to try reinventing it, but that only ended up making things worse. In the early 2010s, Scion doubled down with fresh models: the new FRS Sports Coupe, the ultra-compact IQ, and the rebadged IA and IM. Of these new models, the FRS was the only one that generated any real attention, managing to sell 55,000 units between 2012 and 2015. But it wouldn't prove enough of a success to pull Scion back from its decline. By comparison, the Honda Civic regularly sold over 300,000 units per year in the US alone. By this point, Scion was becoming a liability and Toyota really needed a way out. After its peak of 173,000 sales in 2006, Scion experienced a slow and drawn-out collapse. By 2010, annual sales were under 46,000 units, and by 2015, the brand sold just over 56,000 across its entire lineup, a fraction of Toyota's 10 million in sales that same year. The brand had become a financial drag. So, in February 2016, Toyota announced that it was officially killing off Scion. Although the brand officially went away, Toyota didn't wipe out the entire vehicle lineup. Several of the most popular models were rebadged as Toyotas. The FRS became the Toyota 86, the IA became the Yaris IA, and the IM became the Corolla IM. The rest of the lineup was discontinued, and dealerships were rebranded back under the Toyota banner. By the end of 2016, the Scion experiment was officially over. Scion only lasted 13 years, but in that short time, it gave Toyota room to experiment in ways that it never could through the main brand. Through Scion, Toyota tested unconventional marketing strategies, sponsoring grassroots events, arts and music sponsorships, and even digital campaigns aimed at millennials. These tactics later influenced how Toyota approached its own brand outreach. The quirky cars, the marketing experiments, and the attempts to capture a new generation of buyers were all part of Toyota's broader story. Scion's story is a small lesson that brand identity can't be manufactured overnight. It has to grow naturally or risk fading just as quickly as it was created. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested in seeing more business-related content like the video you just watched, that's all I do on this channel. I talk about tech, automotive, brands, marketing, and retail businesses, and a lot of other stuff. So if that's something you're into, definitely consider sticking around, and I'll see you in the next video.